Hi, everybody. Randy, Chancellor, and Ari with you here inside the newsroom at KPRC2. Wanted to weigh in because everything happened over the last hour and a half or so. The Texans firing Lovie Smith. If you watch Sports Sunday, you saw the conversation the three of us had, and also the roundtable with Cody Landry and Ron Ugly as well. Guys, initial thoughts. I mean, I'm not surprised that he was fired. I was surprised actually that it happened tonight. I thought it was going to go down tomorrow at some point.
Yeah, no surprise for me. We kind of touched on it a little bit that last year David Culley won 4 games. Lovie Smith was only able to get it done 3 times. And we thought that David Culley was incompetent. So we thought Lovie Smith would be the big adult in the room, the mature coach who would come in, set the culture, and win games. But the Texans as a team and their roster, they took a step back, primarily Davis Mills. The offense never got things going. And to me, what I was saying earlier on Sports Sunday, the job of a head coach is to put his team in the best position to win games. And we did not see that this season. That's why the Texans are moving on.
Yeah, I think there's no question the Texans have a significantly better roster in 2022 than they did in 2021. Neither team is good, but they had better players. They had more talent this year. Lovie Smith has been a head coach for a long, long time. He led the Bears to a Super Bowl. He coached the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He coached Illinois. David Culley had never been a head coach. The way that David Culley is viewed by Texans fans as sort of kind of a bumbling, incompetent guy, the way that Lovie Smith is generally viewed around the league is pretty much with respect. This is a defensive coach. Some of the stuff he did didn't work. That's why he got fired other places.
Took a team to a Super Bowl.
Took a team to a Super Bowl.
Bush era.
This is a
But
guy.
a lot of people haven't done it. Haven't got no playoffs.
But there's a massive gap in respect the way these guys are viewed. David Culley's this longtime position coach who got a shot and got his dream. And Texans fans don't think he's a bright guy. Whatever criticism Texans fans have of Lovie Smith, that's not the way that he's viewed as a coach.
Yeah.
And like you mentioned, he still won less games than David Culley. You cannot stay after that performance. The Texans looked bad at times this year. They looked okay, but you can't go. The result is the result. You can't go 3-13-1.
Yeah.
And now this is 2 consecutive caretaker coaches that Caserio has failed as a hire, and he's getting a 3rd coach.
He's got to get this one right, or he's going to be in the hot seat. I think it's already going to be kind of warm going into next season if they don't show some kind of improvement. Now the question is going to be moving forward. Now we know Lovie's out, is what kind of coach, which coach are they going to go after? Somebody with experience, somebody that maybe's had head coaching experience, or are they going to go with somebody of the up-and-comers that are ready to become a head coach? We were just talking a couple of names, D'Amico Ryans, the former Texan, fan favorite, primed and ready, I think, for a head coaching position. You got other guys, Gannon out in Philadelphia, and probably some other names that are going to come up. Which direction do they want to go? Experience or guys that could become superstar coaches?
Well, for me, somebody who can come in and win games, right? But to me, I would actually like to see them hire potentially an offensive-minded guy. We know the Houston Texans need to address the need at quarterback, probably with their top pick in the draft at the number 2 slot. So you want to have a coach that can come in that you can pair with a future franchise QB for a very long time. So if you bring in a D'Amico Ryans, or you bring in somebody like Jonathan Gannon, they're going to have to hire another offensive coordinator and say that offensive coordinator hits it off. He does really well with that Bryce Young or with that CJ Stroud. And he does well, somebody else is going to come call him and move him on later on as well. So you want somebody who can be here long term, in my opinion, with your quarterback, somebody like how Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes have been able to come together in Kansas City and stick there for a long time. Yeah. To me, that's kind of the formula. But of course, Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid don't grow on trees.
I think that it's kind of good that the pressure is now on Nick Caserio because he's now failed with 2 hires. You have to hire a guy that's going to win, or you're getting fired. There is no way you get 3 bad coaching hires. And so either he has to nail it, or you're not going to have a job. And so, yes, you can go for the young and exciting hire. And that's why I think they didn't want to go last time. They wanted someone stable.
Right.
Lovie Smith is not a coach that anyone else wanted, but when you think about it, long time in the league, he's done the head coaching thing before. He sort of shows stability. Now you can go outside of the box. Because it doesn't matter what, you're getting fired if you don't get the right coach.
Well, back-to-back 1-year tenures here for
It is important to know that Lovie Smith wasn't their first option last year.
No.
And you talk about going outside the box.
And that's a deeper conversation.
He was not even on the research team's list.
You talk about going outside the box. They tried to go completely like Jack in the Box, hiring Josh McCown last year before some other things happened, and then they ended up selling him for Lovie Smith. So Lovie Smith wasn't even the guy. So
and Gannon was interviewed for the job and didn't get it. Well, again, it was a weird process, but now Gannon's another hot name because of the season Philadelphia's had this year.
But Philadelphia's defense, look at the talent of Philly's defense. And obviously, you don't have that with the Houston Texans this year. They do have some young talent that they can pair with. Obviously, Jalen Petrie, Derek Stingley Jr., Obo Okoronkwo had a great year coming from born and raised in Houston, Texas. He's a contract guy. Can they re-sign him? But they also have, obviously, 2 first-round picks. They can, if they don't want to address the quarterback with number 2, maybe they get Jalen Carter or somebody like Will Anderson Jr. from Alabama, then maybe address it in free agency because they have a lot of cap space.
Yep.
Jimmy G.
No, but you made a good point. They got a lot of money to spend. They got draft picks, and the question is, does Cal? I mean, obviously he does because he's remaining GM. Do you trust Caserio to make the right call with these precious picks and money they got?
Well, he's done okay with picking. That's not been the issue so far. I disagree that you can go to free agency for a quarterback because the biggest issue, I think issue number 1 with the Texans is creating fan buzz. And it's something that they focus on from a marketing standpoint. Their messaging coming out of Kirby is, hey, we want to give back to the fans. We want the fans back in the stadium. You can't go and get some defensive player at number 2 because that's not going to build, hey, we got a defensive, we got Will Anderson and Derek Carr. Come to NRG Stadium. That is not going to sell.
Tickets right now.
That's not selling. You have to get a quarterback at 2. This is, right now, the most desperate franchise in the NFL. They have to get a quarterback to get fans to care to show up.
Well, obviously you want fan support, but you also want to build something long-term success. You want to build something sustainable, which both Cal McNair and Nick Caserio have regurgitated in their statements. So, with that being said, quarterback is probably their best option, but we'll see.
But in another worth discussion, we had it on the roundtable tonight, is Bryce Young lockdown franchise quarterback? I think a lot of people believe he is. There's a group of people out there that aren't sure. I'm one of them too. I think he's a great college quarterback. SEC, he's got the intangibles, but does he have the body that can hold up in the NFL?
Yeah, well, obviously you have C.J. Stroud alongside with him,
Yeah.
and then another name. Obviously, you get into the draft process. The combine is when guys really start to pop, and so maybe that's when guys kind of go up and down these draft boards. I don't want him, but I wouldn't be surprised if Will Levis kind of comes with the board. He's a guy with a big arm talent. The stats in college and the film, to me, I don't really like, but he does have the arm talent that and a big body that a lot of prototypical quarterbacks have in this league. And I wouldn't be surprised if some scouts fall in love with him. Hopefully, in my opinion, I hope it's not the Texans.
Well, Bryce Young's not viewed as a generational prospect like Trevor Lawrence or Peyton Manning or Andrew Luck or any guys like that. But, like I said, you're the most desperate team in the NFL. You have to have a quarterback. Even if he's not the perfect prospect, he's probably the best quarterback prospect in the draft. You can argue whether him or C.J. Stroud. But one of those guys is a high-level, clearly a top-5 pick type of guy, good enough for this class. You have to get one of those guys. Otherwise, people are not going to come to your stadium to watch football.
And it is important to note how quickly desperation can turn into playoff hopes. We saw that with the Jacksonville Jaguars just this year.
Right.
Last year was the Urban Meyer fiasco where he left midseason, a bunch of other different stuff as well, so we won't get into that. And then they had the number 1 overall pick, and now they're divisional champions. So there is a path. We've seen it.
You can get there.
Giants,
you can get
another
there.
team that weren't really as good as
got the right coach.
They got the right coach, and they took steps forward. They added in the free agency, and now they're a playoff team just like the Jacksonville Jaguars.
All right, so if we wrap it up, here's what's happened. Now that we know Lovie Smith is out, we don't have that dangling over our head tomorrow. We know he is out. We're going to hear from the players around 11 o'clock tomorrow, get their reaction to the firing of Lovie Smith. And then about 5:30 right now, Nick Caserio and owner Cal McNair are scheduled to talk at NRG Stadium.
Nick in his bubble vest.
Yeah, he'll have his bubble vest on.
I don't dress like Nick Caserio. Nick Caserio dresses like
Oh, there you go. Anyway, they'll talk at NRG. We'll see what they get into. I imagine they're going to say very little. I'm sure Nick will say a lot, and we won't understand. I mean, it's just going to be
word salad.
He'll reference
program, and I'm tired of
Silicon Valley or something.
Here's the other thing. Here's my thing with Nick Caserio. Stop saying the word program. This isn't
It's in college.
It's in college.
I thought that was
I
weird
hate that.
at first. I'm glad
He
it's not
does
just
it
me.
all the
I'm glad
time.
it's not me.
It's insane. Stop it.
He and McNair said that in their statements tonight. So anyway, we'll have it covered for you here on KPRC2 and, of course, on the website as well, click2houston.com. But we just wanted to weigh in and our takes on Lovie Smith being fired. It's official. He is gone after 1 year with the Texans. For Ari Chancellor, I'm Randy. We'll talk to you soon here on click2houston.com. See you.